A very good day to everyone. Today we're going to talk about my topic or my group's topic, developmental reading. I'm Clifford Elias and I'm going to report slides 1 to 8. So let's move on. So, what is reading? So, reading can be classified in or defined in many different ways. It, it, it is a process of putting meaning to the text or should your prior knowledge of a specific thing you can visualize it because you have seen it and you can compare it to the text. Second one is the process of getting the meaning from the text. So this is self-explanatory. You can get the meaning from the text of what you're reading for prior knowledge. Also, it is a psycholinguistic guessing game. Fourth one is the key to unlock the world of enlightenment. The fifth one is basic tool for learning in all areas. And the last one is common to all definitions above, a concept of meaning. Reading comprehension are inseparable. Inseparable. So let's move on. So development. Reading as a task of different learning or walk or talk, upon maturation they will naturally develop. Reading is learned in a different way. Many factors should considered like mental ability, the environment, or stimulation. Developmental is in a sense our reading skills are developed from simple to complex, from early part of life until adulthood. So development is infinite. So these are the purpose of reading: information reading, like reading the newspaper or reading some articles that you want to know or want to learn in a certain topic. Second is recreational pleasure. So you want to what do you call this? You want to read for yourself. You want to enjoy reading. Then that's the purpose and purpose of reading. Functional reading or public use. Technically, we have science, so we need reading. We can read science, or we can read the what the government posted, like in school. There are signs to slow down because it's a school area or in a pedestrian lane. So let's move on. The three main groups of reading theories. Bottom up of depicts reading starting with the input of some graphic signals or stimulus. The role of the reader is to get the meaning from the text based on the stimulus of the word. This is also called data-driven process. So technically, bottom up is an elevator. So for example, an elevator. So each floor you can learn and gather information as it goes up, bottom to up, bottom up. So let's move on to the next theory. So top down. Top down of Top down is depicts of reading beginning with a cognitive process occurring in the reader's mind as she reads the roles of the reader is to give the meaning to the text based on information already held within the reader's store or prior knowledge, and this is also called concept-driven process. So this is opposite of bottom-up. Top-down is where you use your prior knowledge. An example of this is reading a story that you have reading a story. So reading a story, for example, the difficult words in that story you already know. So you are uh, God, this is called you are what wait you are comparing it to your prior knowledge of that word specific of that difficult specific word in the story. So technically That is a top-down theory. So interactive. Interactive depicts the reading as a process of constructing meaning through the dynamic interaction among readers' existent knowledge. The information suggested by written language and context of the reading situation.
Okay, so good day everyone. I am Evelyn M. Abil. So my task is to report the page 49 to 56. So let's start. Watch out for questions containing the word except. To answer them, you must go through each answer choice in turn, checking to see if you can find it supported in the passage. So if you can find support for it, then you must rule it out. When you find an answer choice without support in the passage, that's the answer you want. The last two sentences in the first paragraph are the key to this question. So, these two sentences cite the physiological reaction caused by prostaglandins. So, when it talks about prostaglandins, it is similar to prostate glands. So, check each of the answer choice against the information in these sentences. So, choice A is incorrect. Prostaglandins influence blood coagulation or clotting. Note the use of clotting, a synonym for coagulation, rather than the passage original wording. Choice B is incorrect. Prostaglandins are involved in producing pain. Choice C is incorrect. Prostaglandins influence muscle contraction. And choice it is a choice D. Choice D is incorrect. Prostaglandins are involved in producing inflammation. So the correct answer is choice D. While prostaglandins do have an influence on platelets, so they play a role in causing platelets to clump or gather together, not in manufacturing. So when asked to make inferences, base your answer on the passage implies, not what it states directly. So in language, in thought, in action, according to S.L. Hayakawa, defines an inference as a statement about the unknown made on the basis of the known. So inference questions require you to use your own judgment. You must not take anything directly stated by the author as an inference. So instead, you must look for clues in the passage that you can use in coming up with your conclusion. So you should choose as your answer a statement which is a logical development of the information so the author has provided. Try this fairly easy inference question based on the previous passage about prostaglandins. So, the passage suggests that which of the following would be most likely to initiate the production of prostaglandins? A. Taking aspirin. B. Spraining an ankle. C. Climbing stairs. D. Flexing a muscle. E. Running a fever. So, which of these choices do you prefer? Okay, proceed. So, the just function for choice B as an answer comes in the opening sentence, which states that prostaglandins are produced in response to injury or shock. So, choice spraining ankle is an example of an injury. As such, it is likely to initiate or set into motion. So, the production of prostaglandins, none of the other choices is an example of an injury or shock. So, thus, you can logically infer they are unlikely to start prostaglandin producing going. So, taking an aspirin, in fact, would interfere with or block prostaglandin production. So, only choice B is logical to suggest.
Good day, everyone. I am Jacqueline Abadelia, and I will read this passage. Note that doctors' use of only and hardly words with negative sense. The doctor is depicting or belittling what the French have done for the sufferers from the boats, the people who are dying from the exhaustion of their 40-day journey. The doctor is retorting. He is replying sharply to Dawson's positive remark about the French having behaved well. The doctor has judged the French. In his eyes, they have not behaved well. Go through choices one by one to see which choice comes closest to matching your sense of the doctor's tone. So, the choice A is incorrect. Nothing in the passage specifically suggests selfishness or unselfishness on his part, merely irritability. Choice B is incorrect. The doctor sounds irritable, critical, sharp-tempered. He feels resentment for the lack of care received by the victims. He does not sound like magnanimous, forgiving man. Choice C is incorrect. The doctor is not indifferent or uncaring. If he did not care, he would not be so sharp in challenging Dawson's innocent remark. The choice D is also incorrect. The doctor is quick to counter Dawson, quick to criticize the French. Impatience, not patience, distinguishes him. And the correct answer is choice E. The doctor is without illusions. Unlike Dawson, he cannot comfort himself with the illusions that things are going well. He has no illusions about life or death. Most of us, he points out unsentimentally, die of exhaustion in the end. So, critical reading should be skeptical. Just because it's in print doesn't mean it is right. So in skeptical, you should know, or you should you should know if it is right or wrong. It's not all printed materials are right. So the second one is fact oriented. Give the facts and convince me that they are relevant ones. We should base our passage in fact. We should base on facts. Yes. The third is analytic. We should know how has the work been organized, what strategies has the writer used. Next is open-minded. Be prepared to listen different point of views. Do not be restricted by personal biases. The fifth one is questioning. We should question what other conclusion could be supported by the evidence. And the sixth one is creative. What are some entirely different ways of looking at the problem or issues? The seventh is willing to take a stand. Is the argument, we should know if the argument is convincing. What is my position on that issue? And the last one is one who knows the ability to separate fact from opinion, recognizes propaganda techniques, compares different sources of information, recognizes important missing informations, draw inferences that are not explicitly stated, and identifies the author's background and purpose. So in creative reading, must use his or her cognitive processes to develop ideas that are unique, useful, and worthy of further elaboration. The second is can discover a new or improved solutions to a problem or a set of new ideas. The third is can organize ideas in different ways and make unusual comparisons. And the last is must not be inhibited by conformity, censorship, rigid education, and desire to find an answers quickly.
Hello everyone, good day. I am Liza Faith Ansing and I am going to continue our assigned lecture in developmental reading, slides 33 to 40. So I am going to read the following ethnic passage and apply these tactics. So, Lois Melo Jones is an example of an answer to the charge that there are no black or female American artists to include in art history textbooks and classes. Beginning her formal arts education at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Lois Jones found herself strongly attached to design rather than fine arts. After teaching for a while, she went to Paris to study, and on the advice of the sculptor Métawarrick Fuller, it was in the Paris that she first felt free to paint. Following her return to this country in 1938, Jones had an exhibit at the Vaux Gallery in Boston, a major breakthrough for a black artist at the time. Her work during this period consisted of excellent impressionist scene of Paris. It was not until the early 1940s, after she met the black aesthetician Alain Luc, she was began to paint works like Mob Victim, which explicitly dealt with her own background as a black American. Later, in the 50s, she went often to Haiti, which had yet another influence in her style. Then, a sabbatical leave in Africa again changed her imagery. Indeed, the scope of this distinguished artist career so well spans the development of the 19th century arts that her work could be a textbook in itself. Now, look at the question of this passage. It's a good example of a main idea question. The passage primarily focuses on the A. Influence of Lois Jones on other artists. B. Recognition given to Lois Jones for her work. C. Experiences that influence the work of Lois Jones. And D. Obstacles that Lois Jones surmounted in her career. Techniques that characterize the work of Lois Jones. Now look at the opening and summary sentences of the two paragraphs that make up the passage. Lois Melo Jones is an example of the black or female American artist to include in arts history, textbooks, and classes. It was in Paris when she first felt free to paint, and that the scope of her career so will span the development of 20th century art. Note particularly the use of the signal word indeed to call your attention To the author's point, Lois Jones has had a vast range of experiences that had contributed to her work as an artist. Now, the correct answer is choice C. Choice E is incorrect because the passage talks of influences on Lois Jones, not of Lois Jones's influence to others. Choice B is incorrect because the passage mentions recognition given to Jones only in passing. Choice D is incorrect because there is nothing in the passage to support it, and choice E is incorrect because the passage never deals with specific questions of crafts or technique. Next, try this question and the author's technique based on the previous passage about Lois Melu Jones. Which of the following best summarizes the relationship of the first sentence and the rest of the passage? A. Assertion followed by supporting evidence. B. Challenge followed by debate, pro and con. C. Prediction followed by analysis. D. Specific instance followed by generalization. And E. Objective supporting followed by personal reminiscence. Now, the correct answer is choice E. A. The author makes an assertion, a positive statement about June's importance, and then proceed to back it up with the specific details from her career. And that would be all. Thank you.
So good day everyone, I am Mary Jane Alvarez. At this moment, I am going to discuss my assigned task from slide 41 to slide 48. So, choice B is incorrect. There is no debate for and against the author's thesis or point Jones. The only details given support that point. Choice C is incorrect. The author does not predict or foretell something that is going to happen. The author asserts or states positively something that is an accomplished fact. Choice D is incorrect. The author's opening general assertion is followed by specific details to support it, not the reverse. Choice E is incorrect. The author shares no personal memories or reminiscences of Jones through writing is objective throughout. This third question on the Jones passage is a title question. Note how it resembles question in the passage's purpose or main idea. Which of the following is the best for the passage? A. Unsung Black Artists of America. B. A Hard Road to Who, The Struggles of Lois Jones. C. Luke and Jones, the two black artistic pioneers. Letter D. African and Haitian influences on Lois Mailou Jones. And letter E. The Making of an Artist, Louis Milo Jones. Of the title suggested, choice E is best. The passage refers to the many and varied experiences that have made Jones an important figure in the world of art. Following her progress step by step, it portrays the making of an artist. Read the following scientific passage and apply this technique. Prostaglandins are short-lived hormone-like substances made by most cells in the body after injury or shock. They are responsible for a number of physiological reactions. Prostaglandins have been shown to influence blood pressure, muscle contraction, and blood coagulation and are involved in producing pain, fever, and inflammation. When released from platelets, minute this in the blood. A prostaglandin derivative called thromboxane makes the platelets clump together and thus initiates clotting. In 1971, John Vane, a British researcher discovered that aspirin interferes with the synthesis of prostaglandins. Scientists now know that aspirin relieves pain by inactivating cyclooxygenase, an enzyme that aids in initiating the synthesis of prostaglandins. When scientists realized that aspirin can also interfere with clotting, they began to wonder whether it could help prevent heart attacks and strokes, which are often caused by blood clots that block arteries in the chest and neck. So, in 1971, John Vane discovered that aspirin, a remedy that had been known for 2 centuries, exerted its pharmacologic effects by inhibiting the synthesis of prostaglandins. Studies now indicate that low daily dose aspirin can cut the risk of the second heart attack by about 20% and the risk of a second stroke by nearly half. It seems logical to assume that if the drug can prevent second heart attacks, it can also ward off an attack the first time around. Therefore, many doctors recommend an aspirin that tablet every other day to people who have high blood pressure or other symptoms that increase the risk of heart attacks. According to the passage, prostaglandins play a role in all of the following except the A. Clotting of blood, B. Sensation of pain, C. Contraction of muscles, D. Manufacture of platelets, E. Inflammation of tissue. And that's all. Thank you and God bless everyone.
So the justification for choose B as an answer comes into the opening sentence, which states that prostaglandins are produced in response to injury or shock. Choose spreading ankle is an example of an injury. As such, it is likely to initiate or set into motion the production of prostaglandins. None of the None of the other choices is an example of an injury or shock, thus you can logically infer they are unlikely to start prostaglandin production going. Taking an aspirin, in fact, would interfere with our block prostaglandin production. Only choose B is unlogical to suggest. So now, read this fiction passage taken from the novel The Heart of Matter by Graham Greene. So, imagine 40 days in the boat, cried Mrs. Parrot. Everything over the river was still and blank. The French behaved well this time at least, Dawson remarked. They have only brought in the dying, the doctor retorted. They could have done or less. Dawson exclaimed and stuck in at his hand. Come inside, Mrs. Parrot said. The windows are knitted. The still air was heavy with the coming rains. There are some cases of fever, said the doctor, but most are exhaustion, the worst disease. It's what of us die of in the end. Mrs. Parrot turned to Anna. Music from London Orpheum filtered in. Dawson shifted uncomfortably. The Wurlitzer organ moaned and boomed. It seemed to him outrageously immodest. Wilson came in to welcome from Mrs. Parrot. A surprise to you, Major Dawson. Hardly one son. Wilson, Mrs. Parrot injected. I told you he would be here. Dawson looked across at Wilson and saw him flush and Parrot betrayal. So to you that his eyes give the lie to his youth. Well, snorted Parrot. I knew scandals from the big city. Like a hugged imagining room, he built a picture of frivolity, viciousness, and corruption. We bush folk live quietly. Mrs. Parrot mouth stiffened in the effort to ignore her husband in his familiar part. She pretended to listen to the old Venice melodies? None. Dawson answered, watching Mrs. Perrot pity with pity. People are too busy damn what work is. The evidence in the passage suggests that the story most likely takes place A. On a boat during a tropical storm, B. At a hospital during a wartime blackout, C. In a small town in France, D. Near a rice plantation in the tropics, E. Among a group and people enrolled to a large Asian city. So, go through the choices one by one. Remember that in answering an unfair question, you have must go beyond the obvious, beyond what the author explicitly states, to look for logical implementation of what the author said.